Welcome back to our AWS certification series. If you haven't seen the previous videos, we recommend checking them out first to review earlier questions along with their answers and explanations. Now, let's dive into the next set of questions. How can you determine if an IAM role or an S3 bucket has been granted access to external users outside your AWS environment? Correct answer: AWS IAM Access Analyzer. Explanation: IAM Access Analyzer helps detect if your AWS resources are shared with entities outside your AWS account, helping enforce secure access control. Why others are incorrect? AWS Organizations manages multiple accounts but doesn't inspect external access. AWS Systems Manager handles configuration and management, not access analysis. AWS Service Catalog allows provisioning of approved services, not used for access monitoring. A business wants to detect potential threats in its AWS environment without deploying extra software. Which AWS service should it use? Correct answer: Amazon Guard Duty. Explanation: Guard Duty is a fully managed threat detection service that uses machine learning and AWS data sources to identify suspicious activity without installing agents. Why others are incorrect? Direct Connect provides private network connectivity, not security monitoring. EC2 Compute Service. Threat detection must be configured manually. VPC controls networking, not monitoring threat. What AWS service ensures video content is delivered quickly to global users with reduced latency? Correct answer: Amazon CloudFront. Explanation: CloudFront is AWS content delivery network service that caches content in edge locations to reduce latency and improve speed for global users. Why others are incorrect? Elastic Load Balancing distributes incoming traffic but does not serve cached content. Kinesis Video Streams captures live video for analytics, not streaming playback. Auto-scaling adjusts compute capacity but doesn't deliver content. What is the AWS infrastructure component that consists of one or more isolated data centers with independent power and networking? Correct answer: Availability Zone. Explanation: An availability zone is a physically distinct, isolated location with independent power, cooling, and networking used for deploying fault-tolerant applications. Why others are incorrect? Region contains multiple AZs. Edge location used for content delivery, not core infrastructure. Outposts brings AWS hardware on premises, not a global infra component. What AWS Cloud Advantage allows users to scale resources up or down depending on demand? Correct answer: Elasticity. Explanation: Elasticity enables on-demand scaling of cloud resources, optimizing cost and performance as usage fluctuate. Why others are incorrect? Security protects data and services but doesn't scale. Agility refers to the speed of innovation, not dynamic scaling. Economies of scale relates to cost efficiency, not scaling behavior. Which AWS service protects your cloud applications from distributed denial of service attacks? Correct answer, AWS Shield. Explanation. AWS Shield, especially the advanced version, offers automatic DDoS protection for applications running on AWS with minimal configuration. Why others are incorrect. AWS config tracks configuration changes, not DDoS protection. VPC provides networking controls but doesn't detect or block DDoS. Audit Manager assists with compliance audits, not threat protection. Which AWS service utilizes edge locations to improve application performance globally? Correct answer, AWS Global Accelerator. Explanation. Global Accelerator uses edge locations to route user traffic through AWS Global Network, improving availability and performance for global applications. Why others are incorrect. Amazon Connect, a call center service not optimized through edge locations. Aurora, a database service deployed in regions, not edge-enabled. Outposts, on-premises extension of AWS infrastructure. Which of the following AWS services provides high availability by default? Correct answer, Amazon Aurora. Explanation. Aurora is a relational database service designed for high availability and fault tolerance, with features like automatic failover and replication built in. Why others are incorrect. NAT instances require manual configuration for HA. RDS offers high availability only when configured with multi-AZ. EC2, HA is possible but must be configured by the user. In which AWS service does the customer need to manage and maintain the underlying operating system? Correct answer, Amazon EC2. Explanation. EC2 instances provide raw virtual machines. The user is responsible for OS-level management, including patches and updates. Why others are incorrect. Lambda, fully managed serverless platform, no OS management. DynamoDB, managed NoSQL service, AWS manages infrastructure. S3, object storage, no OS involved. A company wants to extract text and total amounts from scanned invoice images stored in Amazon S3. Which AWS service is suitable for this task? Correct answer, Amazon Textract. Explanation. Textract automatically extracts printed or handwritten text and form data from documents, making it ideal for reading invoices. Why others are incorrect. Recognition analyzes images and videos for objects and faces, not text. Forecast performs time series forecasting, unrelated to OCR. Lex used to build conversational chatbots, not text extraction. Which AWS feature allows a company to deploy Amazon EC2 instances with pre-installed third-party firewall software? Correct answer, AWS Marketplace. Explanation. AWS Marketplace is a digital catalog where companies can find and deploy third-party software, including EC2 EMIs with pre-installed firewalls and other tools. Why others are incorrect. ACM manages SSL TLS certificates, not software provisioning. Systems Manager manages EC2 configuration but does not offer third-party AMIs. Security groups control traffic at the instance level but don't install software. Which AWS cost model lets a company pay based on actual resource usage, making it ideal for fluctuating storage needs. Correct answer. Pay-as-you-go pricing. Explanation. This model allows you to pay only for the storage used, making it flexible and cost-effective for unpredictable or dynamic usage. Why others are incorrect. Free tier provides limited free resources, not suitable for long-term needs. Volume-based discounts apply only when purchasing large volumes. Savings plans offer discounts in exchange for long-term commitment, not ideal for flexible use. A business wants to run container workloads without managing infrastructure. Which AWS service is ideal if the containers run for a few hours and need no server management? Correct answer. AWS Fargate. Explanation. AWS Fargate is a serverless compute engine for containers. It runs containers without provisioning or managing EC2 instances. Why others are incorrect. EC2 requires managing the underlying servers. Elastic Beanstalk simplifies deployment but doesn't abstract infrastructure entirely. Lambda best for short-lived functions, not ideal for multi-hour container workloads. Encouraging teams to simulate failure and understand its impact aligns with which AWS well-architected framework pillar? Correct answer. Operational excellence. Explanation. This pillar encourages practices like testing, monitoring, and responding to failure to improve operations. Why others are incorrect. Performance efficiency focuses on system performance, not failure testing. Security emphasizes protection of data and systems. Cost optimization involves reducing expenses, not operational testing. What is the most cost-effective AWS support plan that includes 24/7 access to AWS customer service and community support? Correct answer. AWS Basic Support. Explanation. AWS Basic Support is free and includes 24/7 access to documentation, forums, and customer service. Why others are incorrect. Developer Support Paid Plan includes technical support. Enterprise Support Premium Plan for mission-critical systems. Business Support Paid includes 24/7 technical support. Which AWS service is used by AWS Control Tower to automatically set up infrastructure resources? Correct answer. AWS CloudFormation. Explanation. Control Tower leverages AWS CloudFormation to automate the setup of landing zones, accounts, and guardrails. Why others are incorrect. Trusted Advisor provides best practice checks, not resource creation. Directory Service manages directory-based identities. Cost Explorer visualizes spending, not provisioning. Which AWS service should a developer with limited networking knowledge use to deploy a scalable and highly available web application with minimal configuration? Correct answer. AWS Elastic Beanstalk. Explanation. Elastic Beanstalk automates the provisioning of infrastructure, including VPC, load balancers, and auto-scaling, making it ideal for developers. Why others are incorrect. Code Deploy handles deployments, not full app hosting. Resource Access Manager shares resources, not used for app deployment. Cloud formation requires template creation and infrastructure knowledge. Which AWS component enables a VPC to accept incoming traffic from the Internet? Correct answer: Internet Gateway. Explanation: An Internet gateway allows resources in a VPC to communicate with the Internet, essential for public-facing applications. Why others are incorrect? NAT gateway enables outbound traffic from private subnets, not inbound. VPC peering connects VPCs, doesn't provide Internet access. WEF protects against web attacks, doesn't route traffic. The AWS global infrastructure is composed of availability zones, regions, and what other component for content delivery? Correct answer: Edge locations. Explanation: Edge locations are used by AWS services like CloudFront and Global Accelerator to cache data closer to users globally. Why others are incorrect? VPCs, user-defined networks, not part of AWS global physical infra. Dark fiber links support infrastructure but not defined AWS component. Data centers form AZs but aren't the top-level public-facing component. Which AWS service enables deployment of highly available third-party virtual appliances, such as firewalls? Correct answer: Gateway Load Balancer. Explanation: Gateway Load Balancer is designed to deploy, scale, and manage virtual appliances like third-party firewalls in a highly available manner. Why others are incorrect? Firewall Manager manages policies across accounts but doesn't host appliances. WEF protects web apps but isn't a firewall appliance host. Security Hub aggregates security findings, not used for deploying appliances. What AWS service can help identify security risks or vulnerabilities in your AWS account, such as exposed access keys or open S3 bucket? Correct answer: AWS Trusted Advisor. Explanation: AWS Trusted Advisor provides real-time guidance to help provision resources following AWS best practices. It checks for security issues, such as open ports and unused credentials. Why others are incorrect? Amazon Cognito manages user sign-up sign-in, not account-level security auditing. Amazon Macie focuses on discovering and protecting sensitive data in S3, not general account vulnerabilities. AWS Secrets Manager manages and rotates secrets. It does not scan for vulnerabilities. In the AWS Lambda service, what is the customer responsible for managing? Correct answer: Application Management. Explanation: With AWS Lambda, AWS handles server provisioning, OS maintenance, and platform management. Customers are only responsible for managing the application code and business logic. Why others are incorrect? Platform management. This is managed by AWS. Code encryption. AWS handles encryption at rest and in transit unless you use custom encryption. OS configuration. Not applicable in serverless computing. AWS manages the OS. Which AWS service allows applications to use a publish-subscribe model for messaging? Correct answer: Amazon SNS. Explanation: Amazon Simple Notification Service supports the pub/sub messaging pattern. Publishers send messages to a topic, and subscribers receive those messages through various protocols. Why others are incorrect? CloudFormation manages infrastructure as code, not messaging. Lambda can act as a subscriber to SNS but isn't a messaging service itself. CloudWatch monitors AWS resources and applications but doesn't implement pub/sub. Which AWS service enables you to set up a cloud-based customer contact center with features like inbound calls and call routing? Correct answer: Amazon Connect. Explanation: Amazon Connect is a cloud-based contact center service that allows businesses to set up customer service centers with features like interactive voice response and call routing. Why others are incorrect? AWS Managed Services manages infrastructure, not customer contact centers. AWS Support Center portal for AWS support plans, not for customer contact. AWS Direct Connect establishes private network connections to AWS, not call centers. A company needs a fast and scalable NoSQL database for storing application data. Which AWS service fits this requirement best? Correct answer: Amazon DynamoDB. Explanation: Amazon DynamoDB is a fully managed NoSQL database service that provides fast and predictable performance with scalability. Why others are incorrect? Redshift, a data warehouse for complex queries, not NoSQL. Athena, an interactive query service for analyzing S3 data using SQL. DataSync, a data transfer service, not a database.